What is up, guys? In this video I'm going to be talking about basic data types and how to convert them to different data types in case you need to, and I'll explain later why that is necessary. But to start off, I just want to go over these data types. As you can see, we have a few over here. The first one is a string. So a string is essentially any text you create in quotation marks. So as you can see right here, I wrote hello world, and if you hover over the variable, it will tell you there is a type of string. And string can just be used to display text, or it's just a text variable, in other words. And the second data type that we have is the number data type, which is also known as an integer in other programming languages. And this is just any number you write will be a number. So as you can see right here, if we hover over this variable that says number, 2021 is a number. Then we have a Boolean, and a Boolean is either true or false. That's all it is. It can hold those two values, and false corresponds to 0 and true corresponds to any number. And that may sound a bit confusing, but we'll go into that a bit later. They're just a very solid way to define true and false, in other words. Then we have what we call undefined, and this is if you create a variable and you don't assign it anything, it becomes undefined. So if we hover over that, as you can see, it will say any, and if we try to print that, you're going to get an undefined statement down here. Next we have the null keyword, which is also nearly the same as undefined, but it just tells the program that this has no value at all, and we know it has no value because we have explicitly told it to have no value. And this can be used later when we start getting into logic statements to check if something is there or not. For example, pretend a user is filling out a username form and they don't put the username in for some reason. The form is going to display it as null most likely, and it's going to tell the program if this is null, you should not allow the user to log in. So the user must insert his or her username. So null is just a way to show that there is no value there. Then we have arrays, which are also known as lists. So in an array, you can have any values you want, and as you can see right here, we have a list of strings. So right now we have hat, orange car, and these are all strings. And if you hover over it, it will even say we have this array, which is a string array because we have strings inside. And yeah, it just holds lists of items. And you can also mix the data types. As you can see here, now we have an array of string and number. And I'll show you later how we can use these. They are very convenient and very nice to have. But for now, all you need to know is that you can create it by adding a pair of square brackets and inserting some items separated by a comma. Next, we have the object keyword. And an object is just a way of holding reference to different key value pairs, such as we have this one over here that says name Mario, and we have the age of 22. And this is created by adding a pair of curly brackets, and I'll also show you how to use that later. But for now, you just need to know that we have these data types that are just very fundamental to JavaScript, and you will be using these a lot. And now we can move on to actually going to type conversion and explaining what type conversion is. So let's start with the first example. We're going to create a variable which is called answer, and that's going to equal 12 plus 200. Now, what you probably will think is that the answer will be the same as always. It's going to be 212 because that's logical math. But let's go ahead and log this answer so we can see what we get. And as you can see, as an answer, we get 12,200, which is nowhere near close to the correct answer. And this is because at the moment we have what they call concatenation of text, which means because we have text here and we use the plus symbol, it is going to convert this to text and it's going to add them together, just as if this was a hello. As you can see right there, now it says hello 200. So this is what they call an implicit conversion, since they're changing a number to text. But if we decide to turn it into a minus, you'll notice that JavaScript will actually convert this to a number, because now it understands that you can't really subtract a text from another text that easily. So it decides the next logical step is to turn it into a number. So this is a very basic example of implicit conversion. But what we want to deal with more often is explicit conversion, because that means we have more control over what we're doing to the program. So pretend you have a variable here that is a string and you want to convert it to a number, so you can add these two together correctly. All you have to do is type in number and then add a pair of parentheses, and now this will be casted to a number. So when you add them together, you'll notice that it'll be 212 and not 12,200. And as you can see now, the variable answer is a number and not a string. If we go back, you'll notice that the answer is indeed a string. But let's go ahead and take away all of that. As you may know, we have this variable up here that's called number. Let's actually change that to a string. So of course, it's just as simple. All you have to do is type in string, and inside here, you can insert the number. Now this number is going to be treated as a string, and there's not really any reason to do that to this number, but you will find an opportunity in the near future to turn items into strings, and we'll run into some examples of that later as we progress with the course. But that's a very quick way to do type conversion. So now this number will effectively be a string, and you can actually check what the type of something is just by typing type of, and inside here we're just going to insert the string of number. And we actually should just log this, so we're going to insert that inside that. And you'll see we'll get the output of string. Otherwise, let's go ahead and check what the type of object is. And you'll see that we'll get the object printed as an output. And if we output the hello, it will say undefined. So in case you ever have any doubts about what you're working with, you can always use the type of keyword and it will tell you what type you are working with. Otherwise, you can just hover over the object and you should get a very small summary about what it is. And just to recap, if you want to convert anything, all you have to do is type in either number and put it inside there, type in string, put it inside there. You can even convert items to booleans, but I have never done that and I don't think it's very common in basic programming. I'm sure as it gets more complex, you might be able to use that one day. And that is the very basic way to convert items to what you need. But with that being said, guys, I think we've covered the very basics of data types and type conversion. In the next video, I'm going to be talking about operators and how we can use it to do very basic algebra. And after that, we can get to the fun stuff, which is logic statements. But with that being said, thanks for watching and I'll see you in the next video.